Okay, we're back with some more Minecraft, and today we're gonna build our house and just, kind of relax a little bit. Wait, what am I doing? Um, okay, no. Yeah, we're just gonna do this and, just have some fun. And today I want to talk to you about kind of what I've been thinking about lately, which is the concept of safety, I guess you could say. There's a lot to talk about regarding safety. Really, it's a complicated topic, but I really hope I can pull it off. So yeah, when we were growing up, we kind of, are raised in a way that where, we feel safe and our parents, they took care of us, hopefully, it's, I'm sorry to those who don't have parents or don't have good parents, but yeah, we're typically grown to, have good parents and those who take care of us, stuff like that. And we grow up, we meet people, go to school, things like that. But there's something particularly strange about this progression. Throughout the journey, you might encounter a few mishaps once in a while, but they're nothing that substantial, I don't think. I hope you understand me right here when I say that the things that we go through are in our childhood years, they're not quite substantial in the bigger picture, and that's fine. I don't think anyone would try to pressure kids into growing up early, or like growing up to be an adult right away. And those who do are kind of, they're kind of immoral. Yeah, but yeah, you grow up and you have a safe life and go to school, then your parents recommend you into college, and then get a job, and that's it. Get a job, maybe get married, buy a car, buy a house, but there's this kind of illusion of safety almost when this happens, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Is kind of like job security, or just security overall, right? There's this misconception that you are safe and your job is safe, even though your job and your life and stuff like that is safe, when in reality it's not. And it's a very complicated sort of thing, but you know, it's like your progression is so uh, I'm I'm sorry guys, I'm kind of struggling to speak. I hope you don't mind, but yeah, it's like the progression is, you know, simple, a little too simple, and then you suddenly realize that you actually can't support this lifestyle anymore. The safe lifestyle that you've grown up with, you just can't support it anymore. You know, and that's kind of where it breaks for most people. I don't know. It's very, it's very complicated to talk about, but I wanna try my hand at it, see how it goes. But the main thing that I want to talk about, that I want to emphasize, is that your job is not safe from artificial intelligence or like technology, and you kind of live in this world where you think you are safe. You think you are safe from these devious little things, because you're brought up to believe so. Like people always say, like, oh, this job is this job is very invaluable to society, and it's existed for such a long time. It'll never go out of fad, or however they say it, when in reality technology has kind of exponentially grown throughout these couple of decades. It took the entirety of human history to develop a working computer, and it only took 90 years to get to the point of modern technology, of artificial intelligence, right? That's kind of the angle I'm going at here, is that the rate that the world is growing is extremely exponential, and so will be the rate that people's jobs get replaced, and we simply become extinct. Yeah, that's it's a very negative way of saying it, but I do think that in a way we humans will be extinct in God knows how long, but hopefully not very soon, because I still have this Minecraft world to finish, and yeah, I just wanna, I still want to be able to do things and stuff like that, but it's a very growing concern, in that people still think that they're going to be safe and their job will never be replaced, but I don't know, maybe in 20 years you're gonna end up the same as that essential worker a few years ago. And it's worrying because as I said, not a lot of people are aware of it. Not a lot of people are aware of the danger that they're facing right now, because they tend to think more linearly, you know, like any person would. They tend to think their life goes from A to B within a fixed amount of time. But where the progression of technology is not fixed. It's not linear, it's exponential. And it's scary, man. There's a lot of different things that AI is doing right now, like deep fakes and all these AI video software, to replicate humans, and they paint an extremely bleak picture of the future for me. And it's scary because we've already phased out manual labor work, work that our hands used to do, and we used to use force to be able to do those work. Now all we had to do is hook up a robot to do it for us. But when are we gonna start getting a robot to do our knowledge work, our white collar jobs, and that would be the point where job security would be extremely hard to obtain. I mean, it's hard to obtain now, at least in America and stuff, where your job gets outsourced to Marissa from Philippines, and you just don't have a job anymore because Marissa from Philippines, she's willing to take that job at a cheaper price than your salary. So yeah, unfortunate. You're just gonna have to stay at home and worry about all those debts you have yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and it's like everything comes crashing down at that point, and that sense of safety gets removed from your body, and you finally realize too late that you're in trouble and you're never gonna recover from it. You're in danger, as you were your entire life. You just didn't really pay any mind to it. And I'm talking about AI. We might be laughing now, but in a few years, maybe even a few months, we will have a full-on colonization kind of AI taking over our jobs. And it's already kind of taken our jobs. I hear a lot about some of my family members who are kind of seniors in their company at this point, but they use a lot of AI to do their work. They always talk big game about it, it's so much better than proofreading everything. One click of a button and I'm done. I'm basically done. I don't need to ask my peers to do it. I don't need to ask all my colleagues that are under me to do it, because they just end up wasting more time for me. But that's kind of, not really how you should go about things. At least not for me, I think people should start working more with their heads than just asking a robot to do it for them. I think I said this in my previous video, but yeah, us kind of having, okay, I think I made a point about information in my last video, actually, so I didn't mention this, but yeah, I mean, AI work is more efficient, and it is faster, but when we prioritize efficiency over learning, it's like, okay, I can kind of make an excuse for, senior workers, they've been around the block, they don't really care about their work anymore. I mean, seriously, my dad is trying to retire, but the company keeps pulling him back because he's just like too good at his job or something. It's a little much, but you shouldn't rely on AI on every single thing you do. It can help you a lot, but when does the technology that helps you replace you? Really think about that. I think it was my torch. Yeah, it's my torch that made that sound. Oh, okay. Okay, I was worried about the flint and steel thing in my last video, but it was just my torch. That's actually that's pretty immersive, but also kind of scary if I didn't know that. But yeah, when will technology replace us? Probably very soon, with the way that AI is heading. I think, I think a lot of things in our lives are being outsourced to AI. Even some heavy knowledge work is being replaced with AI. And these aren't just like writing a paragraph for a school assignment. These are actual, like, important business stuff, like important company decisions. And it gets to a point where these things just end up replacing us entirely. We can't think of new ideas without using AI anymore. And I have my class as an example. We're a bunch of students, which is a bunch of college kids. But we're supposed to be like in the best of the best classes in our college. But what I observed during my about 7 months working with them is that they tend to use AI a lot, and it's almost to a point where it's not even consciously anymore. They instinctively choose to use AI instead of thinking with their brains. Their brains kind of automatically turn to AI to help them with their work. And that's a really concerning development, because if you're supposed to be the best of the best, then you're supposed to think for yourselves, as our college course has always told us, right? We're supposed to think for ourselves. We're supposed to think outside of the box, you know? Then why are we relying on a machine that only tells us the most general information, right? And doesn't have any sort of extremities attached to it, doesn't have any kind of, controversial mechanics to it, and it doesn't have the sort of creativity, the sort of human whimsy that we have, that we develop throughout our lives. It doesn't have that. It's just an accumulation of knowledge and an accumulation of information. And as I've said in my previous video, when we suddenly prioritize our thinking to information retrieval, we think we tend to think like a robot, and we tend to optimize things just like any kind of artificial intelligence would. And that's really tragic, and I'm one to speak, right? I use ChatGPT I use AI to complete my work as well, but not entirely, right? I have a course right now that I'm taking, and this goes for all my friends. All my classmates. I don't really call them friends. All my classmates as well, where we have to read 2 books within the 15-week course. And I've been reading a lot. I've actually taken such an interest in reading that I never would have had before if I didn't take this course. It's actually a really interesting course, and I think everyone should take it. I think everyone should take it. But the course basically boils down to going out of your comfort zone and just reading a lot. Just about reading, just about any topic, any topic that the school approves. But there's a bunch of topics, and the course is called English for Interdisciplinary Themes. And you kind of have to read these books and spot the interdisciplinary links, like this is a book about science, but it also says a lot about society, and it's a really nice book, and I didn't use any sort of AI to do it at all. I didn't tell it to summarize, I didn't tell it to write a reflection for me. It was all me. I did everything, and I have been doing everything, but for other courses, the unserious ones, I also use AI very, very abundantly. Well, not that abundant, but it's pretty excessive, is what I meant to say. And that's scary, because what if I've become a prisoner to, I'm sorry, this video was sort of supposed to be about safety, but I kind of ended up dribbling on about AI. I hope you don't mind that much. But yeah, the point I want to make about AI is that, you know, it will take our jobs and we will suffer from it, but you know, there's a way to get out of it. You know, there's a way for us to get out of this cycle of, you know, being trapped, being safe, being under the illusion of safety, and then actually being safe again. Or no, being under the illusion of safety and being in danger, you know. And I took inspiration from my book, of course, but the one thing you need to do to be able to achieve like a good amount of safety is to become somebody who works for themselves. And yeah, that's pretty general advice. You know, entrepreneurship is always better than, you know, working for a boss. But there's a certain merit to it that I didn't really think about before. Uh-oh, I misaligned it. Oh goodness. But yeah, there's a certain merit that I didn't really think about before. And it's that working for yourself, you kind of have to take care of everything. You know, like, you can always know what you're doing good at and what you're doing bad at in order to improve yourself. And that's a really great message, you know? Like, becoming your own boss means you know your own limits through the results of your labor, and you know how to fix it because, you know, you have all these links to what you've done so far. So you have the necessary resources to fix things, to fix things, right? And so you do, and that's how you achieve success and financial freedom and whatnot. You know, I think if there was something that you would want to take away from this video, is that you should always try to, you know your limits and, you know, try to fix them as much as possible. It's a really difficult process, but I think with enough determination, you know, anything's possible. Who's to say you can't achieve job security without becoming your own boss? You know, I talked about entrepreneurship, but, you know, who's to say you can't achieve freedom with the 9 to 5? It's a growing concern, yes, but also one that's kind of fixable. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to me, you know. It's a blasphemy. But yeah, it's very, very intriguing topic to talk about, and one that I don't think I would ever talk about ever again. But, you know, I have fun with these topics. I like these topics for what they are and what they represent in my life, because, you know, I'm gonna grow up to be somebody else's worker, you know, somebody else's employee. And so, still need to know my limits to become independent of the danger that I suddenly have to face. And you know, it can be scary, but you know, I'm my own person, and I should learn to think for myself. So yeah, I will do that. But you know, until then, you know, I'll be careful, I guess. But I'm also thinking a lot about YouTube as a career. You know, it's also similar to being your own boss, but also strangely similar to working for a boss. You know, I have YouTube as this controller of my things, my content and stuff. And there's corporations that are, you know, interested in some things and uninterested or flat out hates other things. And so, you know, they have to go through the approval of YouTube and the sponsors and whatnot. And it can be hectic, yes. But maybe, right? Maybe there's a way to, I don't know, become my own boss during this career. Dude, what am I saying? In short, you know, I think that, you know, YouTube is still like a viable career for me. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's a great career, you know. I've always looked up to people like PewDiePie and DanceEDM. Those are my favorites back in the day, you know. Every kid remembers, you know. But I also have my own life outside of YouTube, and I'm very busy, you know. So I don't think I can keep up a schedule with YouTube, and YouTube requires you hold a schedule, so oops, kinda messed up with that one. But you know, I think it's certainly okay. I don't really care that much about YouTube. I just kind of go around here to have fun, and you know, I guess here I have it, you know. I'm having fun. So yeah, I think I'm getting a lot out of YouTube, at least enjoyment wise. And I guess that's kind of one way to be completely safe, is to always just have fun with it. But you know, always be careful, I guess. Okay, I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. But yeah, you know, safety. That's the idea I'm having in my head right now. Is safety is never guaranteed, but it can be fought for, and you can achieve safety within your life if you follow the steps that I mentioned. Or not, I didn't mention any steps, but no. Jeez, kinda tired. But yeah, if you follow what I say here, then you will achieve success, and you will achieve true success and become free, become safe. And as I said, the first thing is always to know your limits and try your best to minimize that, you know. And with any goal you have to know your limits, right? Like, if you're exercising, for example, then, and like, you don't see results in a week, or no, you don't see results in 2 months. You know, you're dieting correctly, you're working out all the time, then it must be something else, right? Define your limits. And, you know, with my analogy, it's like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. That messes up with my metabolic cycle or whatever. So I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix my sleep. And then boom, I start losing weight again. You know? That's kind of how you do it, simplified. But it might be harder for you to fully realize it within your life, you know? Like recognizing your limits and the journey you must have, you must partake in order to fix those limits and reduce those limits as much as you can if you can't fix them immediately. But yeah. Alright. Done building my house. I think. I'm definitely gonna have more floors though. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I hope everyone has a great day. You know, I think I'm gonna be gone for the next couple of weeks, so, you know, don't expect an upload, and you know, if you enjoyed the video, then comment something, you know. Comment cheesecake if you're hungry for cheesecake. Comment some meaningful words if you're, you know, if you liked my video. And maybe you want to expand some points in my video. That would be great. I would love to have that. But yeah, that's it for the video. I'll see ya.